Welcome to Solo Travel TV. My name is Yogita Ridgley. I am the CEO and the founder of Traveling with Me, Myself and I. Today I have a beautiful lady who has traveled quite intensively and all around the world almost. So it will be interesting to hear her insights and all the little tips and tricks of the trade. Let's welcome Alice. Thank you for joining me. How are you this morning?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for inviting me to have a chat with you. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. I'm so excited to chat with you as well because I've been following your journey for a long time. And you are probably one of the very first people that I started reading the blogs of. So
Oh,
almost like my inspirational at the beginning of my journey. So thank you for that. And I am super excited to share all that with all our viewers and readers and listeners. So let's start with, how did you actually get started on your solo travel journey?
it was, I kind of just literally flung myself into it because I was always that girl who told myself that I couldn't travel, that I didn't have the money to travel, that it just wasn't possible. And yeah, I just so happened to meet a girl on a train, and she sat next to me. We got chatting and she told me that she had just got back from India teaching English, and the train journey luckily was a long one. So we talked and talked, and by the time I got off that train, I was like, that is it. And within 3 months I quit my job, I quit where I was living, I like broke up with my boyfriend. I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. And that's the thing with life, isn't it? You have to just seize what the universe kind of brings to you, because I was like, this is telling me something, this is driving me to do something. So I just did it. And it was tough, because a lot of people were like, you're mad, I can't believe you're quitting your job to do this. But it was absolutely the best thing I could have ever done for myself. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love how you said that, it is a opportunity that knocked on your door and you actually seized it. Because quite a lot of us actually let fear dictate and we talk ourselves out of it. Doesn't matter how much our heart actually really wants to pursue. So this is an amazing start of your journey. I've actually got goosebumps just listening to you. So where did you go for the very first solo trip? What country did you ended up visiting, or what part of US or UK, or where did you actually go?
Yeah, so it was actually completely random. I mean, talk about opportunity knocking. I decided that I would start traveling by teaching English. And while I was on the course in the UK, I met a guy, nothing romantic, but he was just like, I'm going to go to South Korea. And I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. I know nothing about South Korea. He said, you should come. I was like, okay. So I just did. I just did. I had no idea about the country. I just kind of threw all of my bets in and went. So yeah, it was South Korea. And I was right down in the south in a beautiful place called Busan. And it has all of the best elements. It has the sea, the mountains, and the city. So it was such a beautiful place to start my journey. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds so amazing. So this is one of the things that now I actually teach, is how to actually awake yourself to be able to see and seize these opportunities that come your way. And from a conversation on a train to a school that you actually are going to learn how to teach English, to be in South Korea, what a start of a beautiful journey. So as we all know, after we, take the first step, we get bitten by this trouble bug. It's the most beautiful bug, I think, on the planet. What was one of the places that you went to that has literally changed you as a person? Whether it's a place or people or culture. I know in your case it's probably 101 because you're so well traveled, but maybe just one or two to share with our audience today.
Yeah, because that's the thing, because every country, even if something bad happens to me there, I take it as a gift, and as a lesson. But I would say the countries that really had an impact on me, the first one would be Bangladesh. I went at a time when they were having quite a bit of trouble, but it just kind of came up on my radar, and yet again I just kind of used my intuition, and I was like, I should really go and explore Bangladesh. And it was a very, very interesting and very heartfelt experience, because I went there solo, and I just traveled around, and the locals were very, very, very kind to me, and as I've usually found in life, actually the people with the least amount of material possessions will always give you the utmost that they can. And they were very, very kind, and it was just such an eye-opener, because what I love about travel is that what you obviously, we all have set ideas about how things should be, and how we should live, and those cultures always just teach you something different. Yeah, it was a very powerful experience.
Yeah, I have to admit, this is one of the things I get quite often with all the interviews that I do. Every single one of them, it's more the people that touch your heart than actually the beautiful beach you saw, the mountain or the lake, because
Yeah.
those sceneries exist in every country. But it's the people that literally touch your heart and change you from what you left as a person at home to what you come back to. So that, yeah, I actually feel that. And I every single place I go to, I have that same experience. And I go for more and more. And like you said, this, every place you go to, doesn't matter whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, they're all lessons and blessings. And that's what we
Yeah.
love about traveling. If you travel with intention, you tend to um, take this with you, and it's a memory that stays with you forever. So, as we know, traveling solo, you and I love it. What is one thing you love the most about it?
For me, it's never been about bikinis, cocktails, and beaches. It has always been about pushing myself as a woman, because that's what I believe in. I believe, for me, that travel is such an amazing opportunity to see what you are capable of. You can push your boundaries, you can face your fears, you can reach your ultimate potential. So yeah, that has just always been the case. And if yeah, yet again, if an opportunity is presented to me and I'm like, I'm not sure, I'm like, well, I'm just going to try, just to see, what can happen. And that's what I love so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely a school that you really learn from. It's like I always say to people that interview me, that actual school let me down, but the travel, the world, the road, everything outside of that taught me so much more. How to face fears, how to really embrace the unknown, how to actually push that boundary and step out of your comfort zone. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, every part of what you just said, I totally agree with that. Now we know everything that is amazing about traveling and solo traveling. There's always the downside of it. What is one thing you don't like about solo
Um, I think it has changed over the years, because solo travel for me, I'd say like 3/4 of it, like the 3/4 period of it at the start, was if people wanted to do something with me, I was like, no, because I just wanted to see what I could do, and I stuck to my guns like that. But I have found, as I've got older and I've discovered more and more about myself and what my wants are and what my needs are, actually I wouldn't mind sharing that sunset with somebody. But I think that is the beauty of solo travel. You can decide exactly when you want to be alone and when you want to connect in the community. And that's why hostels and meetups and free guided walks are perfect for that, because you have the control of when you want to connect and when you just want to go off on your own.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the most important things about solo traveling is having time on your own. Because quite a lot of people I see, especially the young ones, in the hostels, they all latch on to you because they don't really want to be alone. But if you just allow yourself to just have that space, like, in your case, I think you are more stubborn and determined than anything. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to do this myself. And that's exactly like,
Yeah.
a lot of people should really step into that space so they can actually really enjoy that fact that alone is actually not scary. Alone doesn't have to be lonely. So yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for that. Now the last question. Now this is, I really do um, want to tell my audience how well traveled you are. So I'm sure you will have quite a lot of different insights on this. If someone is thinking about traveling for the very first time, I am, kind of like full of information on my blogs, and so are you. What is one of the things that you would recommend, or a couple of things that they must do, or they must try, or they must look out for before they actually, get that passport out and jump on the plane or take the road trip? What are your insights on before they start to travel?
Um, that's a very good question. I feel that you need to take care of the practical side, but also the emotional side of things. So practically, yes, get travel insurance. Make sure that at least your flight and your first accommodation once you get to that destination is booked. Okay, because then at least your family and friends who are concerned will know when your flight is, if you are going to actually leave the country, and they will know the address of that first residence. It's just safety 101, right? But emotionally, I would say stick to your guns, because it's usually the ones that are closest to you and love you the most that will tell you not to go. So just remind yourself of why you want to do it and what you hope to achieve from it, and just keep saying that and playing that like a broken record, because because I had to come up against that a lot, and I know a lot of our readers, probably readers, listeners, experience exactly the same thing. So just stick to your guns, know that your decision was made for a reason and that it is the right one.
Yes, absolutely. Self-belief is extremely important because we are so accustomed to self-doubt and
Oh
self-sabotage
yeah.
and negative talk. Before even the friends and the family get involved, we start self-sabotage ourselves as well a lot of times. So self-belief is one of the things that I have learned, and one of the things that I have opened myself to allow it to happen. But yeah, travel insurance, amazing. That's really good. That a lot of people get very carried away, especially when it's their first trip. They totally forget all the practical side of it because they're so emotionally involved in this. And booking your first flight and making sure your first transfer from the airport to the hotel and your first accommodation is extremely important. And from there, you can really just go with the flow. But the first parts makes it a lot more easier transition than stressing at the airport how you're going to get to the hotel or where you're going to stay. Sometimes we think that Rome is a huge city and there will be lots of accommodation, and then you end up not having to find one. I've been to Rome many times, and one of the things I did once was just like catch the train, and I thought I'll just get an accommodation. It's not a big deal. But they actually had a festival on, so one of those things
Yeah.
that you get to learn. And yeah, so it is very, very good advice. Thank you so much for that. Now, last but not least, what was one of your very own lessons that you learned that you actually now love to teach people in terms of traveling solo, traveling to unknown? I have got many of those, but I would love to know what is one of yours.
One of my lessons. Um, I don't know, it's quite a heavy subject, but I actually got in trouble in India. You know, I was traveling at that time. It was actually on the day of my birthday, and I got attacked in India by a guy late at night. I was walking home, and at that point, you know, my life could have gone in two very distinct directions. Okay, I could have chosen to have stayed silent, to feel resentment for what had happened, and essentially feel that I could never travel solo as a woman again.
Yes.
But I was like, no, I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to be grateful for my strength, for my perseverance, and for the adventurous nature within my heart. And I'm not going to let anyone take that from me. And at that time, everyone was like, you have to leave India now. You have to go. And I was like, no way. I stayed in that town. You know, I just carried on with my plan. I mean, of course, I gave myself time to feel, to, you know, to understand, to process. That's so important. But I didn't want it to let what had happened zap my light out. So
Yes.
I would just say, you know, whatever you come across when you travel, there are going to be ups and downs. That is life. But you must maintain the reasons of what gives you strength and what makes you happy, what gives you passion. And if you do that, you know, then life will still give you what you absolutely deserve. That's what I would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very well said. I do have that blog that you wrote after that particular incident, and I was very inspired by how you stood so strong and so tall and owned every moment of that instead of playing victim. And I really love your message. Life is full of highs and lows, and so is solo traveling, but don't stop living because it might happen. 99% of the time it doesn't, but just be prepared that it might. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking your time out and letting me do this interview. And it was really lovely to share your insights with everyone. Thank you. And I will look forward to seeing you and obviously following your journey and being part of it all. And thank you. All right.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You are listening to Travel Solo TV. Thank you for joining me. If you like the videos, please share and also subscribe. These videos are done to inspire, empower, and educate women to be able to step out of their comfort zone and learn how to not let fear dictate. Thank you for watching.